Your child spills a little juice. Not much, just a few drops on the table. And before you even have a chance to reach for a napkin, the crying starts. Not just a whimper, full heaving sobs, tears streaming down their face. Their whole body shaking as if something truly devastating just happened. And you stand there, looking at those few drops of juice, genuinely confused. Maybe a little frustrated. Maybe even embarrassed if you're in public. You think to yourself, what is happening right now? This is not a big deal. Why is my child acting like the world is ending over something so small? If this scene sounds familiar, you are not alone. Millions of parents experience this every single day, and most of them quietly wonder the same thing. Is something wrong with my child? Am I doing something wrong? Why do they fall apart over the tiniest things? Here is what most people never find out. The answer has very little to do with the juice, and everything to do with what is happening inside that small, developing brain. Stay with me, because what you are about to hear might completely change the way you see your child and the way you respond to them in those overwhelming moments. Let's start at the beginning. The human brain is not born finished. That might sound obvious, but most people do not fully appreciate what it means. When your child is born, the part of the brain responsible for logic, reasoning, and emotional regulation, called the prefrontal cortex, is essentially offline. It does not fully mature until a person is in their mid-20s. Let that sink in for a moment. Your 5-year-old is not choosing to be dramatic. Your 7-year-old is not trying to manipulate you. Their brain, quite literally, does not yet have the wiring to do what you are asking it to do. What they do have, fully operational from birth, is the emotional brain. The amygdala, the part of the brain that detects threats and triggers emotional responses, is working at full speed. So when something goes wrong in your child's world, no matter how small it seems to you, their emotional brain fires first. Fast, loud, and without any meaningful braking system. Think of it this way. Imagine driving a car with a powerful engine but no brakes. That is your child's brain. The engine, emotion, is roaring. The brakes, rational thought, barely exist yet. So when the juice spills, or the crayon breaks, or they lose a game, or their sock feels wrong, the emotional engine fires and there is nothing to slow it down. That is not weakness. That is neuroscience. But here is where it gets even more important. Because not all children react the same way. Some kids cry over small things all the time. Others seem to brush things off more easily. And that difference comes down to something researchers call the nervous system sensitivity threshold, and it may be the most important thing you learn about your child today. Some children are born with what scientists call a highly sensitive nervous system. This is not a diagnosis. It is not a disorder. It is a trait, a genuine biologically based difference in the way a child's brain processes the world. Researchers estimate that somewhere between 15 and 20% of all children are born this way. A highly sensitive child does not just experience emotions more intensely. They process everything more deeply. Sounds, textures, transitions, social dynamics, disappointment, visual stimulation, all of it hits harder, registers deeper, and takes longer to process. When a highly sensitive child walks into a noisy birthday party, their nervous system is dealing with about 3 times the input that another child's system is handling. And when something goes wrong on top of that already full cup, even something tiny, there is simply no room left. The cup overflows. This is why your child might cry over a broken cookie when they are hungry and tired. It is not really about the cookie. The cookie is just the last drop in a cup that was already full. And here is something that most parenting books do not tell you. This sensitivity, this emotional intensity, this depth of feeling, it is connected to the same neural wiring that makes highly sensitive children extraordinarily empathetic, deeply creative, morally thoughtful, and often exceptionally gifted in art, music, writing, and human connection. You are not raising a difficult child. You may be raising a profoundly feeling child, and that is one of the greatest things a parent can be trusted with. But knowing that does not make the moment easier. Not when you are standing in the grocery store and your child is on the floor crying because the cereal box has a different color than last week. So let's talk about what is actually happening in those moments and what you can do. When your child is in the middle of a meltdown, their brain is in what neurologists call a flooded state. The emotional brain has taken over completely. The rational brain, the part that can hear reason, absorb comfort, and process your words, has essentially shut down. This is sometimes called flipping the lid, and it is a physical state, not a choice. This is why telling a crying child to calm down does not work. Their brain cannot access calm right now. It is like telling someone who is drowning to just swim. The instruction makes sense, but the person is not in a position to follow it. What the flooded brain needs first is not reason. It is not correction. It is not even distraction. What it needs is co-regulation. Co-regulation is the process by which a calm nervous system helps bring a dysregulated nervous system back into balance. And it happens through presence, through tone of voice, through physical proximity, and through the simple act of being felt and understood. When you crouch down, soften your voice and say, "I see you. You are really upset right now. I am right here." Something remarkable happens. Your child's nervous system begins to borrow from yours. Your calm becomes their anchor, and slowly, sometimes agonizingly slowly, they start to come back. This does not mean you approve of the behavior. It does not mean the juice spill was actually a tragedy. It means you are acknowledging the emotional experience first, before anything else. And that is the key that unlocks everything. Research from Dr. John Gottman and his team at the University of Washington found that children whose parents respond to their emotions with acknowledgement rather than dismissal develop significantly better emotional regulation skills over time. They perform better in school. They have stronger friendships. They are more resilient in the face of failure. And they are far less likely to struggle with anxiety and depression as teenagers and adults. The way you respond to your child's small tears today is literally shaping the architecture of their emotional brain for the rest of their life. Now, there is another reason children cry over small things that almost no one talks about, and it has nothing to do with sensitivity or brain development. It has to do with stress. Children carry stress. They carry it from school, from social dynamics, from things they overheard at home, from transitions and changes in routine, from feeling unseen or misunderstood. And they almost never have the vocabulary or the emotional awareness to say, "I am overwhelmed, I am stressed, I need help." So instead, the stress leaks. It leaks through behavior. It leaks through defiance, through clinginess, through sleep disruption, and yes, through crying over things that seem impossibly small to you. The broken crayon is not the problem. The broken crayon is the pressure valve releasing weeks of unexpressed tension that your child had no other way of letting out. If your child has been crying more than usual over small things, it is worth gently asking yourself, has something changed recently? A new school, a new sibling, a move, a shift in family dynamics, even something as subtle as a parent being more stressed than usual? Children are extraordinarily attuned to the emotional climate of their home. They absorb the tension in the air like sponges, and they feel it even when you try to hide it. This is not about blame. It is about connection. When you start to see your child's emotional outbursts as signals rather than problems, everything shifts. You stop trying to stop the signal. You start trying to understand what it is communicating. There is one more thing I want you to know, and this is perhaps the most important thing of all. The way most of us were raised taught us that big emotions are dangerous, that crying too much is weakness, that sensitivity is something to toughen out of. Many of us were told, directly or indirectly, that our feelings were too much, too dramatic, too inconvenient, and we learned to suppress them, to hide them, to be ashamed of them. And now, when we see those same feelings bursting out of our children, something in us wants to quiet it quickly. Not because we are bad parents, but because we were once that child, and someone taught us that those feelings needed to disappear. But here is the thing. Suppressed emotions do not go away. They go underground. They show up later as anxiety, as anger, as disconnection, as a deep sense of shame about being too much. The children who are taught that their feelings are valid, even the big, messy, inconvenient ones, grow into adults who can feel things fully without being destroyed by them. Adults who know how to ask for help, how to set boundaries, how to grieve, how to love. Your child crying over small things is not a sign that something is broken. It is a sign that they are still fully, beautifully connected to their own emotional world. Your job, and it is a profound and sacred job, is not to fix that. It is to be the safe harbor where those feelings can land without shame. So the next time the crayon breaks, the cookie crumbles, the sock feels wrong, the juice spills, and the tears come pouring out, take one breath. Remember the unfinished brain. Remember the full cup. Remember that what looks like drama is actually a call for connection. Crouch down, soften your voice, and say, I see you. I am here. You are not spoiling your child. You are not creating weakness. You are building the most important thing a human being can have. A secure, trusting, emotionally intelligent foundation that will carry them through every difficulty life will ever put in their path. That is not a small thing. That is everything.